failed to deliver real solutions. Today, a new plan is in motion, one that prioritizes economic contributions and cracks down on what some call welfare dependency. The question is, will it work? Or is this just another political ploy?
I have said that we're going to do things differently. We're going to tell the truth, even when they are hard truths. A lot of the things that have gone wrong over decades in the country are because politicians make promises without plans. And just having an announcement is not sign of a policy. What we are showing is we've done the thinking behind saying we're just going to cut immigration.
The government's latest immigration overhaul focuses on the net economic benefit of migrants. In simple terms, if you're coming to the UK, you need to prove that you'll contribute more than you take. This means tougher criteria for benefits, stricter rules for residency, and a clearer distinction between contributors and recipients.
And the policy about changing the rules around getting citizenship and leave to remain is a sign that we have thought through and worked up a proper plan that will make a difference.
Well, let's talk about that plan, because a lot of it is about the net benefit a migrant has to the economy. How will you measure how much migrants are benefiting the economy? And doesn't this just favour the rich?
No, it doesn't. What we're trying to do is make sure that we don't create pull factors onto our welfare state. It's very good when we have people coming to our country, working hard and contributing. But if they need to have benefits, if they need social housing, then they're not net contributors to our economy. They are net recipients. And that makes everybody poorer because it means other people are having to work harder to pay for migrants' housing and benefits and so on. We need people coming to this country to be adding to our growth and productivity and to our society, not being net recipients of benefits.
Have you been bounced into this announcement by the rise of Reform, and how concerned are you by their popularity in the country at the moment?
Well, I first talked about this plan in November. I made a speech a couple of weeks after being elected leader, and I said there would be more to come. We talked about having a hard cap on visas in law. That was the announcement in November. We've taken some time to look at this policy. And one of the things that is important is that Labour is bringing a bill next week about immigration that's actually going to take the country backwards. They're going to make it easier for illegal migrants to get citizenship. That's terrible. And we are the opposition now. The country's given us a job to hold the government to account. I need to be an effective opposition leader, making sure we steer the government on the right course as part of that.
But just on that second point, how concerned are you about the rise of Reform? They would say they're the real opposition at the moment.
Yes, Reform has 5 MPs. The Liberal Democrats have 70. We have 120.
But they're rising in the polls, you'd admit that?
I remember when the SDP was at 50% in the polls. What I'm trying to show people is that we are doing the real thinking, looking at legislation line by line, making sure that what becomes law in this country is what's good for the public. We don't have the 400 plus MPs that Labour has, but we are doing the thinking that's going to make people's lives better.
Let me just move on to the economy. The Bank of England's decision today to cut interest rates, but also slashing the growth forecast. What's your reaction?
I think that the figures are disappointing when it comes to the growth forecast. They've basically said the growth has halved from 1.5 to 0.75%. That means we're going to be getting poorer. They've also said that unemployment is up. It's now worse than it is in the US. And also inflation is going up. Those are very concerning figures that mean that the quality of life for people around our country is going to be reducing. And what is most interesting is that the Bank of England linked that directly to Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer's budget.
Moving on again, the government has announced plans to make it easier to build mini nuclear power stations in England and Wales. Why did the Conservatives fail to do this when you were in power?
We were very supportive of nuclear. We were supportive of small modular reactors. If the government is picking up where we left off, that's a good thing. We're not going to complain about that.
So you support the move today by Keir Starmer?
We want to make sure that we deliver energy security for our country. If the government does the right thing, we support them. When they're doing the wrong thing, like they are on immigration, then we will hold them to account.
I'll just ask you one last one, if I may. Is the government right to decide to dismantle Grenfell Tower?
That's something that is for the governments to decide. What I need to make sure is that when we are looking at migration, energy security, that we are doing what's right for the British public.
But here's where it gets controversial. Does this policy unfairly favour the wealthy? Are we shutting the door on hardworking migrants who simply need a fresh start? Let's break it down. First, the government is implementing stricter visa regulations. Those on work visas must demonstrate long-term financial independence. No more immediate access to welfare or social housing. Second, permanent residency and citizenship are becoming harder to obtain. New rules will require longer periods of tax contributions before applicants can even be considered. And third, there's a cap or a hard cap on the number of visas issued. This means if quotas are filled, you wait. But is this enough? Or will it simply push more migrants towards illegal pathways? Let's look at the ripple effects. For businesses, this could be a nightmare. Many sectors rely on migrant workers: healthcare, hospitality, construction. With tighter restrictions, will we see worker shortages? For taxpayers, the government argues that this will ease pressure on social services, ensuring only those who contribute can benefit. But opponents argue this policy ignores the reality. Many migrants do contribute, just not in immediate, measurable ways. And what about the human cost? Families hoping to reunite. Asylum seekers fleeing danger. The government insists humanitarian exceptions exist, but critics say the new rules will create impossible barriers.